So this is a review of the Wild Country Helios 2 by Terra Nova. Before I bought this tent, I was looking online for reviews and couldn't find any, so I thought I'd upload one for all you guys out there thinking about getting this tent. You can probably see we've had a bit of rain since I put it up. It's doing a pretty good job of keeping the inside dry at the moment. So let's look at the outside then. So it's a quite a pronounced ridge line, as you can see, because of the poles. There's one central pole that runs through and it splits. There's like a little star-shaped connector there, and it splits, and the pole runs down there and down the other side. So there's no poles across the front here, and we've got one pole that runs across the back and it splits again at the back. As with other Terra Nova Wild Country tents, there wasn't enough pegs for all the eyelets. It was too short, so I'll just substitute for a couple of cheap old pegs at the moment, but I'll get some decent ones. So if we look at the pegs that they've used or supplied, they're just aluminium, cheap aluminium ones. They're not particularly long, but they're right in the garden at the moment. But so I'll probably get some better pegs at some stage before I take it out on the moors. So you can see at the back here we've got a vent that's held open by this guy line, and underneath there's a little mesh screen. The tent is erected inner first, so you put the inner up, lay the inner out, put the guy lines over it, fix the poles through that. Then the fly goes over the top and you fix the fly onto the bottoms of the poles as well before you start pegging it out. There are 4 guy lines, one at either end and one either side, which it was quite blustery last night, but they seem to do a good job of keeping it nice and still. Running down the side, there's just a guy line and one pegging point here. There's a good probably 8 to 10 inches between the fly and the inner at this point here, so there's plenty of space. One bit that I was slightly concerned about was this guard over the zip. It seems a bit loose here. There's a Velcro at the bottom, which you pull it nice and tight, but I don't know if any rain will get through there or not, but maybe once it's been used a bit, that might loosen up a bit and might fold flat. Who knows? So we've had a bit of rain overnight and today, and it seems to be nice and dry inside. The zip for the door, it's one zip, runs up, and as you can see it curves around at the top there, which gives you a nice wide opening to get in. But what I do notice is that as you unzip it, go around the top, the door starts to drop, and you get 1 or 2 little drops on the inside. I had the inner open earlier, those drops fell inside, so it's just something to be a little bit wary of. It opens right the way across, or you can add more ventilation, open it from the top only, get some ventilation through. Underneath this here, this part here, there is another mesh screen, so even with the door fully up, you still get a bit of ventilation running through the tent. So the tent, the door holds back. It's got these little plastic click locks, which makes it nice and easy to hold the door back. Won't do it at the moment because I've got the camera in one hand. But the door holds back, and we'll just click lock on these points here, hold it in place. And the porch, as you can see, on the web beforehand, before I bought this, it said there was 65 centimetres of space from the inner to the edge of here, but because it's quite angled, I don't know if I'll be competent enough to do any cooking inside there. with the door closed, because it does slope at quite an angle, so it means the cooker or the canvas will be quite close to any flame. But what you can do with this, because you've got this guy line here, I did notice, you just took a closed peg, you could potentially peg that there to give yourself a bit of a windbreak, or use a walking pole if you use walking poles, and just fix it up like that, just to give yourself a bit more of a windbreak, so you could cook there in the porch with this door slightly ajar. I use a 70-litre rucksack, and I don't know if there'd be enough space for the rucksack to sit inside there without touching the tent, without touching the outer. But there's plenty of space inside if you're on your own. It's described as a two-person tent, but as with every other review, every single review I've seen online for little lightweight hiking tents, you can have to be pretty good friends to spend the night in here, because it is quite tight. It's ideal size for one person, but as a two-person I think it's a little bit snug. You can see down the far end there's a nice vent you can see out through the other side, so you get a nice good draft through. It's also got a couple of pockets either side at this end to put some stuff in if you need to. The ground sheet's really quite thin. It's the same sort of material I've done the fly with, so I think I'll be using my roll mat underneath the fly sheet, underneath the ground sheet, to protect it from any stones and stuff when I go up on the moors. So there we go, plenty of space in there. So we've had a bit of rain this morning. It's doing a good job. It's nice and dry inside. This is fairly common. This is normal for these sort of damp patches here, but as it dries out they'll dry as well. So there we go. Helios 2 by Wild Country.